Hi there, it's Grant here, and in this video what I want to do is I just want to talk about central bank digital currencies because I think this is incredibly important, because I think these things are going to be introduced and they could be potentially the future of the money that we use. And I think it's really important that everyone out there knows about these things, understands them, and basically what it means for the finances. Because I'll just flat out say it, I'm not a fan of these things, and I'll get into those reasons later on in the video. But the snapshot it is, I think if we start using this down the line, we will no longer have financial freedom anymore, because we won't be able to buy things with any freedom anymore, because essentially the government will have complete control of our finances. So I don't like them. I don't think they should ever come into the mainstream. I think that they're a bad idea, but that's just my opinion. Now, in this video, I'm not meant to, I don't want to scare anyone or worry anyone. This isn't a fear-based video, because you'll see a lot of that out there. I just want to try and give you a snapshot of the facts of what these things are, and the positives and negatives of them moving forward, because there are quite a few. Before I get into the video, I just want to bring your attention to a video that Tika Tiwari recently shot. And if you don't know who Tika Tiwari is, he's one of the world's leading cryptocurrency experts. He's done a video called The Biden Shocker 2023, where Biden could go on TV at any minute to recall the dollar and replace it with a digital dollar or CBDC. Necessarily good at all, so I highly recommend the video to see what Tika has to say about it and how you can potentially protect yourself against these incoming CBDCs, or definitely the US digital dollar. It's very, very important. So I'll link to the video down in the description below so you can take a look. Anyway, let's get on with the video. So, what is a central bank digital currency? So a central bank digital currency, a CBDC, are a form of digital currency issued by a country's central bank. They're similar to cryptocurrencies, except that their value is fixed by the central bank and equivalent to the country. Many countries are developing CBDCs, and some have even implemented them. Because so many countries are researching ways from traditional to digital currencies, it's important to understand what they are and what they mean for society. So here's the key takeaways. A CBDC is the digital form of a country's fiat currency. A national's monetary authority or central bank issues a CBDC, which promotes financial inclusion and simplifies implementing monetary and fiscal policy. Many countries are exploring how CBDCs may affect their economies, financial networks, and stability. So, a CBDC is basically a digital form of the money you're already using, and they'll be issued by your central bank. They'll be controlled by your central bank, and you will hold the digital currencies most likely on a wallet on your phone, where you can pay for stuff. And on the face of it, you think, yeah, okay, that's good. I don't really use physical cash anymore. I just pay for stuff on cards. And yeah, there are some positive things to it, because a CBDC will make the global financial system a lot more efficient. You'll be able to send money instantly, a lot cheaper, a lot faster, and it's going to be a lot cheaper to send large sums of money. It's going into the hundreds, thousands, or millions, and transactions can be done instantly. And also, where other countries maybe don't have access to sort of money, these things could be rolled out, say in parts of Africa and other third world countries, where people could start using them. So there's going to be financial inclusion. But there are going to be some big drawbacks. And I'll flat out say it. I do not want these things to come into the mainstream where people use them. So I'm bringing you this article, which is the Cato Institute, The Risks of CBDCs, Why Central Bank Digital Currencies Shouldn't Be Adopted. Now, before I go into this, before I go into this, I think every government in the world has either signed up to bring in CBDCs or they're looking into it. In fact, there's going to be a CBDC launching, I think, on August 22nd to 24th. It's called the BRICS currency. It's the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa currency. It's digital currency, and that currency is aimed at basically competing against the dollar. It wants to be the number one currency in the world and knock the dollar off the top spot, which could bring all sorts of calamity to the financial system, because the US dollar is the global reserve currency. Every country use it, but if investors and countries and institutions rush away from the dollar into this new BRICS currency, it's not out of a realm of possibility that it could basically collapse the dollar, and chaos and financial collapse would ensue. Now, do I think that will happen? I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen, but this thing could devalue the dollar. But anyway, I don't want to get off track here. That is going to be one of the first, probably the largest new digital currency coming in. And also the US is going to be bringing out the US digital dollar, I think, fairly soon. I mean, it's bringing in Fed now, which isn't the US digital dollar, but I think if that gets adopted, the US digital dollar will follow. Whether it's in the next couple of months, next year, or year after, I don't know. But the US digital dollar is coming, and other countries will follow, whether through pilots or they just say, you got to use it, end of. So let's go through this article. What is a central bank? So what is a central bank digital currency? A central bank digital currency, or CBDC, is a digital national currency, and it's controlled by the central bank. Like paper dollars, a CBDC would be a liability of the Federal Reserve, because the Federal Reserve of any country will be controlling them. Unlike paper dollars, it would offer neither the privacy protections nor the finality that cash provides. So just going down. That direct digital liability of sort of digital tether between citizens and central bank makes CBDCs a radical departure from the digital dollars millions of Americans already use today. While the CBDC would not offer any unique benefits to Americans compared to existing technologies, it would pose serious risks. For example, a CBDC could spell doom for what little financial privacy protections remains. And that is my biggest concern. Before I go further on this quick document, basically, I do believe the CBDCs are going to be run on similar technology to cryptocurrencies, meaning they're going to run on a blockchain, and that means every transaction on a government's financial blockchain that runs the digital currency, every transaction will be logged and can be tracked. And also these things are going to be programmable, meaning they could program them to have negative inflation, which basically means the money in people's wallets will decrease, increase inflation or decrease inflation, whether they want people to spend more or spend less. They could freeze wallets. They could spy on what you're doing. Once they bring in all this green tax, if they see you're spending a lot of money going places, they could limit how much you spend. Basically, you will lose complete financial freedom of the money you've worked so hard to basically accrue. So let's just carry on. So we don't know who's using $100 bill today, and we don't know who's using 1,000 peso bill today. The key difference with the CBDC is the central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability, and also we will have the technology to enforce it. BIS General Manager Augustin Carstens said that. Put simply, a CBDC would most likely be the single largest assault to financial privacy since the creation of the Bank Secrecy Act and the establishment of a third-party doctrine. The threat from a CBDC could pose is closely related to its threat to privacy. With so much data in hand, a CBDC would provide countless opportunities for government to control citizens' financial activity. And that is why I don't like these things and why they should never be brought into the mainstream. How might such financial control occur? Freezing or seizing assets. Governments have long recognised that freezing someone's financial resources is one of the most effective ways to lock them out of society. However, CBDC could make the process easier and faster for governments by establishing a direct line between citizens and the government itself. Negative interest rates. While interest rates are typically thought of in terms of positive rates, the CBDC could allow policymakers to also set negative rates. In effect, a negative interest rate would result in people losing money. Proponents argue that this strategy could be implemented to spur spending. So, does this sound like the government really wants to control our finances? They bring them in, maybe a little bit like communism. It does to me. And we do not want that. Programmable spending. The programming capabilities of a CBDC could mean that people would be prohibited from buying certain goods or limited in how much they might purchase. For example, policymakers could try to curb drinking by limiting nightly alcohol purchases or prohibiting purchases for people with alcohol-related offences. Basically, complete control of your money. CBDC can allow government agencies and private sector players to program targeted policy functions. By programming a CBDC, money can be precisely targeted for what people can own and what people can do. You know what's scary about this? If this becomes mainstream and this is the future of money, all of the people have worked their lives to make millions or build successful businesses. It will all be for nothing. Because at the end of the day, if you're a multi-millionaire and just say you've got millions of dollars in digital currency in your wallet, but the lawmakers basically limit how you spend it, you're no better off than someone who's got no money. So basically, if these things come in, we're basically working hard for nothing because we no longer have the right to buy what we want. So it really isn't good. A CBDC could undermine both the foundation and future of financial markets by reducing credit availability, disintermediating banks, and challenging the rise of cryptocurrencies. In actual fact, I think cryptocurrencies are going to be one of the biggest escape hatches for CBDCs, and I think that's why the world governments want to bring CBDCs in, because they don't want people to use cryptocurrencies and them to be mass adopted. The reason being is that normal cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, they are decentralized, meaning not one person, entity, business, or anyone else controls the network or the money. No one can touch it. No one can steal it from me. You can spend it how you choose. CBDC is controlled by the government, as I've been going through. So it says here, CBDC would be one of the tools to fight crypto. Yes. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think crypto's going to be one of the key tools for freedom in the future. Another concern is the central storage of financial information. When RS breach puts all 331 million Americans at risk, a breach at a financial institution would not only affect a fraction of citizens, leaving customers at other banks free from harm. So let's carry on. Consider a cyber attack on two different kinds of networks. The first one targets Bitcoin network, which is decentralized. Since the network is decentralized, it remains functional even if one computer is compromised by a hack. Because Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, the network runs on thousands, if not tens of thousands, of different supercomputers around the world. But CBDC, in contrast, is run by the Federal Reserve. So if someone can hack into the Federal Reserve and destroy their network, you could have no money or it would cause utter chaos. Since all transactions go through a central authority, if it is compromised by an attack, the entire network will be disabled. So you'd have no access to your money or no money. In short, CBDC would fail to offer the benefits of its proponents suggest, threaten financial privacy and financial freedom, and undermine the banking and cryptocurrency industries. Congress should prohibit the Fed and Treasury from issuing a digital national currency. CBDCs have no place in the American economy and anywhere else for that matter. Just going down here. It's due to these fundamental threats to the American economy that policy analysts, industry representatives, and even government officials themselves are pushing back against CBDCs, rightly so. I think they are not good at all. Excuse me. We would not want a world in which the government sees in real time every money transfer that anyone makes with a CBDC. Absolutely agree with that. In other words, those calling for the rollout of a CBDC are naive to believe that this can be done without establishing a centralised surveillance system for all financial transacting. Quite simply, even if such surveillance is not included in the initial design, it would be trivial to add it at a later stage. Once a door to surveillance is open, it is virtually impossible to close. So, there we go. That is basically a whole list of negatives of CBDCs. In one hand, it's, the positives. It can make the financial industry a lot more efficient, but as you can see, at what cost? Essentially, our financial freedom and maybe our freedoms will be over forever. If these becomes mainstream, everyone uses them. We are basically at the whim of a government. So, in my opinion, these things should never come into existence. So, I strongly urge you to do your research into CBDCs. So important that you understand this if this comes in. So, what can we do about this? If you're worried and thinking, oh my God, if these are coming in, what are my options to use alternative money? Well, I believe the future is cryptocurrency. Now, crypto has received a lot of bad press, probably over the past, couple of years because they're very volatile. Yes, people made a lot of money, but they're a new sort of financial instrument. And there's a lot of volatility in crypto. Whilst that may be true, I think once crypto becomes mainstream, the volatility will end. Now, why are cryptocurrencies so important for combating CBDCs? Because they're decentralized, as I've said. Basically, that means not one institution, person, government, or bank or business controls the network, issues the money, sees the money, or anything. Once you say, for example, Bitcoin's decentralized. If you buy Bitcoin, you store it on your wallet, on your phone, and yes, the transaction gets put into a blockchain. No one can see it. No one can see it. No government can see it. It's no one can take it from you. No one can see it. It's as simple as that. And that is why I think one of the escape hatches from CBDCs, if they start rolling out and they do start becoming mainstream, is going to be definitely Bitcoin. Bitcoin is probably going to be one of the futures of money. There's many positives with Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, the network has never been hacked, has never been a fraudulent transaction. It's a super secure network. The currency is deflationary, meaning that over time there's going to be less Bitcoin in circulation, so the price is only going to go up. So if you buy Bitcoin or store your wealth, I'm not telling you to do this, but say if you stored your wealth in Bitcoin in the future, rather than getting a paltry couple of percent in a bank, where we all normally store money in Bitcoin, you could, potentially be getting 50, 100% a year on your savings in Bitcoin, say in your wallet. It's decentralized, so no one can touch it. It's very secure. Bitcoin is going to be one of the futures of escaping CBDCs, and that is why the Fed and other organizations want to bring down cryptocurrencies, because at the end of the day, they're not controlled by anyone. No one can spy on the money you make. No one can spy on the transactions. That is why these CBDCs are being brought in, because they don't want cryptocurrencies to become mainstream, because the Fed wants to see what we're doing, and they ultimately want control of our money and the people. That is the agenda, 100%. Now, I'll finish by saying, please do your research into it. It's absolutely critical. You must do your research into CBDCs, understand them, know what it means for you. And I strongly advise that wherever you are in the world, whether you're in the US, UK, or wherever, you go to your government and you say no to CBDCs. Because if we all stand together and say no, and we don't use these things, then they can be rolled out. So yeah, it's only us by adopting them will they become mainstream. So yeah, please do your research, because CBDCs could take our freedom from us in the future, potentially. Now, a couple of things I'll finish by saying. If you want to watch Tika Tuari's Biden shock video, where basically the dollar could be recalled and replaced with this digital dollar CBDC, watch the video, because Tika, explains ways of how you can protect yourself. And also, if you want to join Tika Tuari's Palm Beach letter, where he shows you how to opt out of the digital dollar, and if you want to start investing in crypto, whether you want to buy Bitcoin, then I highly recommend that you join his Palm Beach letter, because he's got a full crypto master course in there, which shows you how to buy, sell, manage, invest in crypto, which I think is going to be so important moving forward. And he basically shows you how to protect and grow your wealth with cryptocurrencies and other safe assets. You can join today for just $49, which locks your membership in for a year. And I do believe you get a 60 money day back guarantee. So I'll link to this down below along with the video. Anyway, that is what I've got for you. Please do your research into CBDCs. It's absolutely critical. Do it now, and oppose these things before it's too late. Because once these things are in and we're using them, we're basically locked in for good, and our freedoms and our financial freedoms will be gone forever, if not a long time. So do your research, understand it, and oppose it. That's what I've got for you. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, why not like it? Why not subscribe to get more content like this? And why not share this video with friends so that they can be educated on CBDCs and their risks. Thanks for joining me, and I'll speak to you soon.